All right, so you want to know all about the future of gold, huh? And wow, you've given us some seriously fascinating stuff to dig into. I mean, we've got market forecasts, expert opinions, and even some political curveballs that could really shake things up.
Yeah, no kidding. We're talking about global tensions, economic data, all that stuff. And then, of course, the Trump factor.
Uh,
All of it's going to influence where gold might be headed in 2025 and beyond.
oh, for sure, for sure. Okay, well, first things first. Gold has had, I mean, a pretty amazing year, right?
Yeah.
But it seems like maybe it's hit a bit of a snag lately.
Yeah, exactly. So gold is up about 28% this year, and it even hit a record high back in October.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, right now it's dipped a little bit. I mean, part of that is just, how markets work,
Yeah.
especially with the holidays. There's always lower trading volume, but there's more to it.
Like what? What's kind of putting the brakes on gold's momentum?
Well, one thing is rising U.S. bond yields. So think of it this way. When bond yields go up, they become more attractive to investors than gold, because gold doesn't pay interest. It's like choosing between a savings account with a decent interest rate and, well, a beautiful shiny rock, right? The rock might be nice to look at, but it's not going to earn you any money.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But gold still has this reputation, as a safe haven, especially when things get a little, a little shaky in the world. And our sources definitely mentioned a lot of potential shakiness, like the situation with Russia and Ukraine, and maybe even a recession on the horizon.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, those are what we call bullish factors. They're things that could push the price of gold up.
I see.
Geopolitical tensions, well, they tend to make people nervous. And when
Mhm.
people get nervous, they often turn to gold as a safe place, for their money. It's seen as a stable asset, something that holds its value even when things get a little chaotic.
So it's like a financial security blanket.
Exactly. And then you have the possibility of a recession. Historically, gold has actually performed well during recessions, because people lose faith in those traditional markets. So they flock to gold because of its perceived stability.
Okay, so we've got these global anxieties, right, potentially driving up demand for gold.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we have things like rising bond yields that are making it less attractive. It's a real tug of war.
It is. And don't forget the strong U.S. dollar. A strong dollar makes gold more expensive for buyers using other currencies, which can really dampen demand. It's all interconnected. And we also have to consider that demand in the Asian markets is cooling down. That's adding to the downward pressure on gold prices.
Wow. So many moving parts. Okay, so with all these competing forces, what are the experts predicting? Our sources mentioned a couple of analysts with some pretty interesting takes.
Yeah, we've got James Herzig and Fawad Razakzada. Both of them are really keeping a close eye on gold. Herzig, he sees the short-term weakness, but he's not panicking. He thinks the geopolitical climate, especially all those global anxieties we talked about, will keep supporting gold.
He's not just going with his gut, though, right?
Right.
Didn't he give us some actual numbers to watch?
He did, yeah. He said 2,677 parers per ounce is a key support level. So think of that as a floor. If the price drops below that, it could mean, further drops. And that might make some investors nervous.
Mhm.
But if gold manages to stay above that level, it could indicate that, that buyers are still interested and the price might rebound.
Okay, so 2,677 is the line in the sand, basically.
Pretty much. Now, on the upside, the number to watch is $2,665.65. That's what Hyersit calls the resistance level.
Got it.
If gold can break through that, well, it could trigger a whole wave of buying, and then push the price even higher. So those are the two key numbers to keep an eye on in the coming weeks and months.
Okay, those are really specific targets. It makes it a lot easier to track gold's movements. That's for sure. So that's one expert's take. What about this? What about Razagada? Is he seeing the same things as Hyrsake?
Well, he's actually even more optimistic. He knows about those headwinds, but he thinks gold could hit $3,000 an ounce by 2025.
Whoa, $3,000. That's a bold prediction.
It is, but he thinks things like, central bank buying and those persistent worries about inflation will ultimately drive gold higher.
So even though there are these short-term pressures, the experts are still pretty bullish on gold's long-term prospects.
Yeah, they are. But there's always a wild card.
You mean like the unpredictable nature of the markets, or something else?
Well, both, really. But in this case, I'm thinking of something a bit more specific.
Wait, are you talking about the Trump in the room?
You got it. The Trump factor is definitely it's adding another layer to this whole gold market outlook.
I bet. I mean, with him back in the White House and all the uncertainty around his policies, People are definitely on edge. I mean, remember what he said about Canada, the Panama Canal, and Greenland? Who knows what he might do next?
Exactly. And those kinds of, those geopolitical wild cards can have a massive impact on the gold market. Like if you were to, do something sudden that really rattles global stability, then gold prices could like skyrocket. On the other hand, if he does things that, strengthen the dollar and calm those global anxieties, well, gold might lose some of its appeal. It's really a guessing game right now.
So we've got economic factors, pushing and pulling on one side, and then this unpredictable political element on the other. It's like trying to predict the weather when there's a butterfly flapping its wings on the other side of the world.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Is it?
It is, but even with butterflies and unpredictable politicians, there are still things we can look at to get a better sense of where things might go, and that brings us to the data.
Oh, you're talking about those key economic indicators from our
Mhm.
sources, right? Things like U.S. pending home sales and unemployment claims.
Right, they give us clues about how the U.S. economy is doing, which then impacts the Fed and ultimately gold prices.
Okay, yeah, like a chain reaction.
Yeah.
So if the data shows that the U.S. economy is slowing down, the Fed might step in, right?
Yeah.
Maybe lower interest rates to try to stimulate growth. And when interest rates go down, gold tends to become more attractive.
Exactly, it's all connected.
It is. Speaking of data, our sources mentioned a jobs report, and it seemed a little mixed. Didn't it say that while initial jobless claims were stable, continuing claims actually went up?
Yeah, it did. And that's actually a really important detail. So those stable initial claims, they suggest that, people aren't losing their jobs like crazy. But those rising continuing claims, they tell us that people who are unemployed are, they're having a harder time finding new jobs.
So maybe a sign that the labor market is cooling down.
Mm.
But wouldn't that be bad for the economy?
Not necessarily. A slightly cooler labor market could actually help keep inflation under control. And the Fed they're really concerned about inflation. And as we said, efforts to control inflation can, indirectly affect gold prices.
So even what seems like bad news could actually uh, be positive for gold.
Right.
It's amazing how all these seemingly separate pieces of information are actually connected.
It's fascinating, isn't it? We've got the U.S. economy, the Fed, all those global events swirling around, and of course the unpredictable actions of a certain former president. They all play a part in shaping the future of gold. It's like this giant, intricate puzzle where, every piece affects all the others.
Yeah, it really is. And it's a puzzle we're trying to solve together, but I feel like we've only just scratched the surface here.
You're not wrong, but don't worry, there's plenty more to uncover. Before we go any deeper, though, I'd love to hear your initial thoughts. What's standing out to you so far from all this information?
Honestly.
Hmm.
It's a lot to take in. On the one hand, we have these experts, and they're talking about gold hitting like $3,000 an ounce. But then on the other hand, there's all these short-term pressures, right? And that whole Trump factor looming over everything.
Yeah, it's definitely a balancing act right now, that's for sure.
It is. So where do we go from here? What else can we learn about what's next for gold from these sources?
Well, if we step back a bit from like the daily news and all those price swings, there's a key takeaway here. Most of the analysts, even though they don't all agree on the specific price targets, they seem to agree on something really important.
Okay, what's that?
They think gold still has it still has a lot of potential in the long term. Even with those headwinds, the strong dollar, those rising bond yields, they see gold as a valuable asset in the years to come.
So even if gold goes through some rough patches in the coming months, investors who are looking at the long term, they shouldn't freak out.
Right. I mean, nobody can predict the future perfectly.
Of course.
But the analysis we've looked at, it suggests that the long-term outlook for gold is, it's pretty positive.
That's actually kind of reassuring,
Yeah.
especially with all the uncertainty in the world right now.
Yeah.
It's good to know there might be something stable to hold on to.
I get that. And that's part of what makes gold so unique. It's not just, a hunk of metal. It's a symbol of stability, a store of value. It's something that has, it's endured for centuries.
You've mentioned that idea of gold being a safe haven a few times, and it's definitely resonating with me. But I'm curious, how do you see gold fitting into the bigger picture, of the global financial system as we head towards 2025? I mean,
I'm always a little hesitant to make predictions,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to something as complex as the global financial system. There are just so many variables, and they're all, constantly interacting and changing.
Yeah, it's like trying to predict the outcome of a game with like 1,000 players, and they all have their own strategies and motivations.
Exactly. But I do think those points the analyst made are uh, they're pretty compelling. I mean, the world is facing some serious challenges: political instability, economic uncertainty, new technologies that are disrupting, all those traditional systems. And historically, gold has often been a safe haven during times of turmoil and big changes.
So it's not just about the price going up and down.
Right.
It's about understanding like the deeper role that gold plays. It's a tangible representation of value and stability in a world that, in a world that often feels anything but stable.
That's it, exactly. And that brings us back to that key question we touched on earlier. As we head into 2025, will that demand for a safe haven, will that outweigh the pressure from those other factors, like rising yields and the strong dollar? Will that desire for security and stability be stronger than the potential for higher returns in other places?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it? And sadly, we don't have the $1 million answer.
Not yet,
Right.
anyway. But what we do have is a much deeper understanding of all those forces at play, the historical context, the different factors influencing gold's trajectory, and that knowledge. I mean, that's really valuable in itself.
How so? Like, what can we actually do with this knowledge?
Well, it helps you, make better decisions. You're not just blindly following trends or, reacting to headlines. You're equipped to look beyond the surface, to really think about the bigger picture, and to assess those potential risks and rewards associated with gold.
So it's about being a more thoughtful investor,
Yeah.
someone who really thinks critically about the financial world.
Exactly. You're not just buying, a chunk of metal. You're making a choice, a
Yeah.
conscious choice, based on an understanding of all those forces shaping the market.
Hmm. That awareness is it's really important in today's financial world. I mean, it's so complex and it's always changing.
It is. And this deep dive has been, it's been really eye-opening.
It has.
We've gone from gold is shiny to gold is this fascinating reflection of, all those global dynamics. We've looked at the current state of the market, the factors influencing its price. We've heard from experts, analyzed data, considered the global landscape, and even talked about that wild card that is the political scene. It's like we've put together this intricate puzzle, but there's still one piece missing.
What's that?
What will actually happen in 2025?
Yeah, that's the big question.
And that's the exciting part. We get to watch it all unfold, right? See how those pieces fall into place.
We do. I have to say, I'm actually I'm much more interested in keeping up with with financial news now.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing how little knowledge can make something that seems you know so complex and intimidating
Yeah.
suddenly feel more accessible.
I know what you mean. That's what we hope to do with these deep dives.
It is.
It is. We want to empower people, give them the knowledge and insights they need to engage with the world around them,
That's awesome.
to ask questions, to make informed decisions.
I think it's safe to say we've definitely done that today.
Good.
This has been an incredible journey into the world of gold, and I feel like I've come away with a whole new appreciation for it. It's so complex, and it's got such enduring significance.
I'm glad to hear that. It's been great unpacking all of this with you, and I hope our listener is walking away with a better understanding of the gold market and its potential trajectory, not just as an investment, but as a reflection of our global anxieties and hopes for the future.
So well said. But before we wrap up this golden adventure,
Uh-huh.
I can't help but feel like there's one more layer to peel back, one final insight to uncover.
Oh, I like where you're going with this. You're about to bring up something something we haven't fully explored yet.
You know me too well.
Yeah.
We talked about the past performance of gold, the current market conditions, what the experts think, the geopolitical landscape, even the Trump factor. But there's one element we haven't really delved into as much, and it could be it could be a real game changer in the years to come.
Intriguing.
Technology. Think about it. We're living in this era of crazy technological advancements, digital currencies, blockchain technology, AI. All these innovations are already, well, they're already changing those traditional financial systems. So the question is, how might these new technologies impact gold's role in the future?
That's a that's an excellent question. It adds a whole new dimension to our conversation
It does.
and brings a crucial element of uncertainty, but also opportunity.
Right. I mean, gold has this long history as a store of value,
Yeah.
but the world is, it's changing so fast. We need to think about how these new technologies um, might reshape the financial landscape and
Mm.
how gold might adapt.
Yeah. Like, could those digital currencies, with their decentralized nature and potential for anonymity, could they challenge gold's dominance as a safe haven? Or maybe gold will find, well, maybe it'll find new applications in the digital age, perhaps even being integrated into blockchain systems.
These are such interesting questions, and they highlight that, they highlight that the future of finance is, it's being written right now.
It is.
And gold, with its enduring appeal and its inherent properties,
Yeah.
it's going to be a part of that story.
It is. Whether it remains the ultimate safe haven or finds new roles to play in a digital world, well, that remains to be seen.
It's a reminder that we're not just, passively watching these trends. We're actively participating in shaping the future. The
Mm.
choices we make, the technologies we develop, how we think about money and value, all of it will influence gold and the whole financial system.
That's a really powerful insight.
Is it?
It is. It speaks to the agency we all have
Hmm.
in shaping our collective future. We're not just spectators. We're active participants in this evolution of money, technology, and well, those global systems.
So well said. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
I want to leave our listener with a final thought, something to ponder as they continue their own explorations in the world of finance.
All right, I'm listening. What's the parting wisdom?
Well, we've covered a lot today. Market trends, expert predictions, those geopolitical risks, the potential impact of those emerging technologies.
Hmm.
But ultimately, the most important factor in all of this is you.
Oh, I like that.
You do.
Yeah, bringing it back to the individual.
Right. Your individual circumstances, how much risk you're comfortable with, your investment goals, your vision of the future. These are the things that will ultimately guide your decisions.
It's true. There's no one size fits all answer when it comes to
Mhm.
investing.
So, to our listener, as you continue your journey in the world of finance, remember to do your research, weigh those risks and rewards,
Mm-hmm.
seek advice from trusted sources, and most importantly, make choices that fit with your own personal financial philosophy.
And never stop learning. Never stop questioning, and never stop adapting to those ever changing dynamics of the market and the world around you.
Wise words.
Yeah.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure diving deep with you today.
Likewise. Until our next adventure in knowledge exploration.
To our listeners, happy investing.
Yeah.
And may your journey be filled with insights, wisdom, and, well, a touch of golden opportunity. It's like
Yeah.
we've been on this treasure hunt for knowledge about gold, sifting through all this info and, uncovering those hidden gems of insight. I mean, we've gone from just looking at basic price charts to understanding how gold is connected to, like, everything, global events, economic trends, even how investors think.
We have. It's amazing what we've uncovered. We started with those basic questions: why is gold up? Why is it down? And now we're discussing digital currencies and the future of the whole financial system.
Right. I feel like I've taken this crash course in everything: gold markets, geopolitics,
Yeah.
even a bit of predicting the future. And you know, the best part is that it's made me realize that even those really complex topics, well, they can be broken down and understood, and that's a pretty awesome feeling.
It is. We've kind of demystified gold.
Yeah.
Taken it off that pedestal as this abstract financial thing, and we've shown how it's connected to real world stuff, the choices that people and governments make every day.
Yeah, and speaking of choices, I think it's important to remind everyone that, well, we're not financial advisors.
Right. We're not here to tell anyone what to do with their money or give specific advice.
Exactly. Everything we've talked about is it's based on those sources you provided. But ultimately, Any investment decisions, well, they should be made carefully and probably with a qualified financial advisor who understands your own situation and goals.
Yeah.
So with that out of the way, I think I think it's time to wrap up this golden adventure. But before we do, I want to leave our listener with one last thought, something to think about as they navigate their own financial journey.
Okay, I like a good parting thought. Go for it.
So we've talked about all those things that can affect the price of gold. Economic data, what's happening in the world, new technologies, all that stuff. But in the end, the most important factor, the one that will really tell you if gold is right for you, is, it's a lot more personal.
What do you mean?
Your gut feeling,
Yeah.
your intuition, that sense of what feels right for you and your financial goals.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's not just about, the numbers or what the experts say. It's about trusting yourself and making choices that match your own values and how much risk you're okay with.
Exactly. Do you feel like gold is a safe haven for you personally? Do you believe in in its long-term potential? Does it fit with your vision of the future? Those are the questions that only you can answer.
That's so true because even if, all the signs point to gold being a good investment, if it doesn't feel right to you, if you're not okay with the risks, then it's probably not a good fit.
Right. It's like picking out a piece of art for your house. Even if everyone says it's a masterpiece, if it doesn't speak to you, it's not going to bring you joy.
I love that analogy.
Mm.
Investing is as much about it's as much about personal values and beliefs as it is about, those financial numbers and market trends.
So, to our listener, as you keep exploring the gold market and the whole world of finance, remember to trust your gut, to really listen to that inner voice, and to make choices that resonate with you.
And don't be afraid to ask questions, to challenge what everyone else is saying, and make your own path. The financial world is, it's always changing, and the most successful investors are often the ones who think differently and aren't afraid to adapt and chart their own course.
Well said. I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into the world of gold.
We have. It's been so fun exploring these ideas with you and hopefully getting our listener thinking.
It has. Until our next deep dive, may your investments be wise, your decisions informed, and your financial future as bright as a gold bar.